Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Pies Nation podcast, where the pies are hot and the drinks are cold. Nicholas Sacco here, your host for another episode 26 of Season 7, or episode 199, if you're counting from the beginning. Half a week later, and we are still in awe of what took place on Thursday night. The Pies were at their scintillating best, handling the top of the ladder Crows with somewhat ease in a 24-point victory to earn the right to play in yet another preliminary final at the MCG. Today's episode will be full of praise for the squad that went over to Adelaide and produced another memorable interstate triumph. Plus, we listened to how the fans reacted thanks to SpeakPie, and there were plenty of those on the agenda. Chat AFLW and speak to our next guest, the crowd competition winner. You can probably hear it in my voice. I'm a bit under the weather, but only the gravest of illness would have prevented me from being in the Backchat studios, especially because I've got three of my closest mates right here with me to dissect an incredible result. Jack Dugan, Luke Humphries, Marcus Callahan. How's it sitting with us a few days later?
That looked like us, boys. Finally, after many weeks of wondering what the hell is going on at Magpie Land, we've gone over to the Adelaide Crows and got the job done. Really keen to hear a bit from you today, Nico, but I know you're under the weather, so we might have to turn to Jack for that first-hand recount. What an unbelievable performance from the Collingwood Footy Club, and just so proud, boys, that we could get the job done and land ourselves in another preliminary final.
We've just been waiting for finals, I think, Marcus, Jack, Nico. It's been a bit of a struggle the last couple months as a Pie supporter, but finally we're back to where we belong. We've got an MCG prelim to look forward to, and we could have put them away by a bit more, I thought, on Thursday night. So good result all round.
Yeah, for sure. Good to be with you, boys. I think many emotions were had on Thursday night, Nico, but the overwhelming one for me, at least, is relief, as Lukey just touched on. We're back to where we all feel as a supporter group, and I'm sure the club feels as a collective, where we thought we would be. Start of July, we thought a home prelim was the really low pass mark for this year and this group and what it was capable of. And despite the last 6 to 8 weeks not looking that fantastic in terms of form, we're able to sort of get qualify, as Fly often talks about, and get to that spot and then take advantage and play some, just as Marcus said, we looked, that was so much more like us. Pressure was up, the intensity, and as we'll get to, I'm sure, a little bit later in our wrap up, it just felt like on the night that with a lot of people having outstanding games, not one person had a really outstanding game, and that said to not only that our pressure was up, but also that I felt like our system was somewhat back as well. So fingers crossed, this is just a small sign of things to come for the rest of the year, mate.
I think you said it best, Marcus. Proud, I think, is my overwhelming feeling to what took place on Thursday. There was a lot of commentary about this team, and I'm sure there were many media contributors ready to slam us had we have gone down in this game and really put the nail in our coffin and try and predict what the future would hold. But it just goes to show, when you've got that experience at hand in such a big final, it does make a huge difference, and it showcased itself again on Thursday night. So very proud of all these players, the whole club, the way they embrace the finals. We know Fly always mentions that it's a new season, and it looks like that we're performing that way. So 1 down, 2 to go. It is very, very exciting. And we start, as we always do, with the pie that caught our eye. Now, I reckon a good 21 of this 23 you could easily pick for a positive, and I'd be very curious about how we landed for this one. I reckon one of the hardest ones we've had to pick this year, but Marcus, as always, we'll start with you. The pie that caught your eye.
Yeah, so many stories to come out of this game at an individual level.
Sorry.
But
sorry, I have still must. It's contagious. Anyway, go on.
Gone with the man that I called for last week to really step up. One of Nico's questions was, who's really going to have to pull their finger out in this game? And I am tooting my own horn here, but I'm going with Darcy Moore, the captain, an obvious one, of course. So many fans would be so stoked with this performance. I think it's as good as we've seen Darcy play for maybe across two season since 2023, putting a performance together, controlling the airways, and to lock in and make sure that we got recurring efforts and ability to intercept through himself and not having to rely on Jeremy Howe really doesn't put to bed, but it bucks the trend of what we've commented on so many times this year about needing a guy next to him who can provide that support. Darce was the captain on the night. He was the general in defence, and he was a key reason why we were able to push the ball forward on so many occasions, with some errant entries from the Crows time and time again, Nico.
Did you have the same thought as me about how well he turned things around after giving up that goal early in the first term?
Yeah.
We thought, here we go again. Darcy's going to have another shocker. I know Luke was all over it.
Yeah, you were vocal in the chat from memory at that point in time, but I was too towards the television.
It
Don't
was
get
like
me wrong.
deja vu, like giving up just a nothing goal when it could have easily been prevented. And he's done it a few times this season, Darcy Moore, but credit to him. I sort of felt like an idiot probably halfway through the second term when he was absolutely dominating. And I think what he finished with...
So 9 intercept marks, which is a finals record.
Yeah. And as a team, we collectively...
It was 26-ish or something like that. Outstanding.
Yeah, we had a few contributors in the defence as well. So it wasn't just Darcy Moore, but that whole back line.
He set the tone despite that blunder, and I think that's probably the other point to ram home. After an absolute blunder, you've just gifted a goal to the opposition captain, for goodness sake, and every moment like that happens in a final is just a huge momentum swing. So I was genuinely worried that he was going to have a shocking night, and it might have been a repeat of earlier in this, only some weeks ago when we went to Adelaide. But to turn it around and give his teammates inspiration and to go up tall and stretch those arms out and just grab the mark at its highest point was such a welcome sight, fellas. So huge game from Darcy Moore, and I think he'll go into this final series with a wealth of confidence behind him now.
Play that caught my eye. It's gonna go to Steele Sidebottom, but in general, finals experience and match experience comes to the fore, and I just think he was the symbol of that on the night. Finished with the 3 goals, 2 of them coming in that third quarter onslaught, which I said about 10 minutes through that quarter, this is as good as Collingwood's played in a very long time. It was, I can only imagine what it was like being there. It would have been bloody epic, but it was just like, obviously that first half was good, but it felt like we rued a lot of missed opportunities, and the game was still there to be taken from us. And we just came out in that third quarter and completely ripped it out of Adelaide. And it was just like, it felt like, I think you said it before we started, Jack, but just this relief. And that's what I felt about halfway through that third quarter, was just this absolute relief of like, we know this team's still got it. And despite not quite getting a match-winning lead, it felt like we got what we deserved in terms of sort of getting that, I think, about 30 points up, and went on to do well enough to hold on and win this game of footy after that. But it just showed me that this team has still got it. At our absolute best, I still think we are the best in this damn thing.
Yeah, for sure. And even the conversations we were having at halftime, Nico was very much around, we're going very well, we feel like we're on top of the game, but with this Adelaide side being so good at kicking goals quickly that we needed to take our opportunities, and at that point in time we hadn't. So then to come out in the third quarter, as Lukey said, and keep the heat on and keep the pressure up, almost probably lift it to a certain degree, and then be able to finish off our good work, typified by what Steele was able to do, as I aptly predicted during the game. Nico, I'll toot my own horn for a second.
We're doing it all night, I think.
Where he gets out the back, I was going, Steele's going to get this, Steele's going to get this, Steele's going to get this, and then sure enough, he got on the end of it. It's not a controversial one amongst our circles now that we're back home in Victoria for the pilot caught my eye, Nico, but one that would have been controversial on the night, and the pilot caught my eye this week is Isaac Quainer. I think not only firstly for his footy performance, it was unbelievable. I think it probably starts with the game that Darcy Moore has. I really feel that's a really big point to make, in the sense all the points that Marcus just made, but Adelaide on the night, very rushed, very dishevelled, very disorganised, and when Darcy Moore was taking marks like that earlier in the contest, that would even more impact their psyche in terms of the way they wanted to get the ball forward. And I thought not only did Darcy Moore have a fantastic night, but so did his sidekicks around him, and Isaac Quainer was one of them. He's been one of our very few that could hold his head high in the last 2 months, and for him to then carry that form into this finals game and really lift to the occasion when the eyes were on him, not just from in a football sense in terms of the importance of his role to play, but with everything going on with, of course, with Isaac Rankin and the hostile Adelaide crowd. I thought the way he carried himself right throughout the night was exceptional, and even into the post-match stuff, I thought when he was being, really ridiculously pulled up at the airport by the silly Adelaide media, the way he handled that, I thought was just absolutely exceptional, and hats off to him.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I thought he was exceptional. And again, someone that hasn't been in that situation or even just played finals before, it can overawe you. And I'm sure there would have been times where IQ may have thought this could go one or two ways here. But yeah, I think what's underrated is the work that Darcy Moore and Braden Manor was another that I felt really set the tone early in the game. And that defensive unit just goes up a notch in confidence, and all of a sudden it puts Adelaide on the back foot. And we saw with their dump kicks inside 50, that's Quainer's bread and butter. Along with Darcy, was just able to go up and take mark after mark. And I thought IQ was exceptional considering or the outside noise he also had to do. Geez, there's some flogs over there, mate.
It was horrid. It was so bad.
I reckon the guys behind us, Jacko, we're not far away from getting another earful from us. They were horrible.
Horrible. It's just it's annoying when you go to a big final like that. And look, to be honest, there were times during the game where Adelaide got a run on, and I was like, how cool is this? Like, this is pretty cool to be at an interstate final where, as Collingwood supporters, we very rarely get outnumbered. But yeah, just very, very silly, some of the Adelaide fans. And it was honestly, look, obviously we're biased because we're Collingwood supporters. It's disappointing considering the environment of which Isaac came about. The Crows view, Crows supporters view, if you like, but it's disappointing that that's the way they went. And then but he couldn't have done anything more. Like he played just about his best game of the season. Anytime he went near it, he looked cool, calm, and collected. The only thing that would have made his performance better if he had gone back and nailed that, which I think was our one and only early celebration for the night. Nico, I might have gone a bit early for that one, but
did it fall short?
It looked. We were sort of half sitting behind the kick, and it looked good.
I think on the TV, I was like, it's going straight through, and no, it's falling short. So,
I reckon it was just because we saw Dakes kick that goal, and we were up and about very early, and then we thought, it's got to keep going. Couldn't have said it better myself about IQ. Pie that caught my eye. I'm doing very similar to Marcus here, pumping my own tyres because there was a man that I put under the microscope that I felt had to perform if we were to get the win on Thursday night, and that was Jamie Elliott, and boy was he special in a qualifying final. I said last week that he hadn't kicked more than 2 goals in a final coming into last week, and there was a lot of talk as well about being snubbed at the All-Australian, his contract talks at the end of the year. I just felt like this was an opportunity for him to put some of those murmurs to aside, maybe give himself a bit of a pump up in the contract stakes too, but regardless, go out there and play a really important match, and he did, inside forward 50, especially in a time when we weren't taking our chances early in the game, as Jacko mentioned in the first half. Finished with 4 goals, 7 marks. One of those were contested and 6 score involvements. We don't win the game, in my opinion, without Jamie Elliott, as well as we were in the back line and as much as we held up things in that area. The thing that lost us the game against the Crows a few weeks ago was our inability to convert chances. We're definitely not going to have 70 inside 50s like we did the prior time. And whilst there were a few other forwards that probably didn't make the most of the opportunities, Jamie did finish with 4 goals, 1. Just remind the competition why he should have been slid into that forward pocket in the All-Australian team. But him, amongst many, were outstanding.
Yeah, and just bobbed up at moments throughout the match that made you remember just how clutch that he is. I just love the fact that he kicked our first and our last goal of the game. There's a bit of poetry in that, Nico, and just the way that he was able to isolate himself to greater effect. Clearly there was a lot of vision watched during the week and perhaps even the weeks before to work out how we're going to get those inside 50 entries going to our advantage once more. But yeah, Jamie Elliott was just back at his scintillating best, and I think he's probably one guy from the 2023 finals campaign that would like to not correct his form, but go this year knowing that he's put a bit more pressure on the scoreboard given recent form. He's been absolutely incredible during the home and away, but this is just a brilliant start and hopefully a sign of things to come in the finals.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's look at the game in a little bit more detail. I think, and I'm glad that the consensus from a lot of people, not just Pies fans, is that the game was won through our talent and not through Adelaide's inability to, again, make the most of their opportunities, apply the pressure that's needed in a final. In saying that, it did have such a massive swing towards how the outcome of this game turned out. I couldn't have been more impressed with the tackling, with the pressure acts. Again, from start to finish, I didn't feel like it wavered across the whole 4 quarters. If one wasn't able to contribute, there was another one that stood up. And Ned Long and Nick Dacos for me in the midfield, when there's been so much criticism from Pie fans about our inability to apply that intensity in stoppages and in contests, I thought were 2 that led the way on that charge.
Yeah, they were absolutely huge. And at different moments throughout the match as well, I feel like Nick's start to the game was just blistering. Probably a big reason why you guys were out of your seats for that incredible goal, the way that he shaped the ball and was able to get it through on a sort of a drop punt vibe rather than a snap was ridiculous. But it was the play before that too, going shake and bake and then hitting Lockie Schultz, who then gets the big ball into Jamie Elliott for our first goal. So Nick's involved from the very get-go. And then to the point about Ned Long, I went back and watched some vision because it was from Thursday night and I can't remember half the game, but he was everywhere in that third quarter burst that Lukey was referring to early on. He was getting the ball forward forward. I think he laid a tackle and forced a turnover at the centre square. He gave the handball to Geordie when he kicked that ridiculous goal on the left, and he was there again. Just with his presence. So those two guys, as long as it's taken, but now that Geordie's seemingly fit again, I'm just really excited about this mix of Long and De Goey and Dacos and Pendlebury and Crisp going into the middle, which is where I think he plays his best footy, particularly come finals time. So I've added a few more names there, Nico, but Lukey, do you have any others that you think are going to go in and provide a difference come this next final?
I was just about to touch because I sent through a SpeakPie if I didn't make it here. And
I'll give you the hint now. You're nodding.
It was supposed to be Ned Long, my pie that caught my eye, but he was absolutely exceptional. But it just shows once one or two of these guys get going, and then you get an informed Jordan De Goey in there, and other guys doing their things, and all of a sudden Long, what he contributes to this team just excels by another level. And it's not so reliant on one or two guys, but where it's like when you get 4, 5, 6 of these guys all in sync together, it just elevates everyone, by another level. So, and Ned Long, it was back to his early sort of form at the start of the season when he sort of blew on the scene and where's this guy been? Why has no one drafted him? And all of a sudden he's killing it for us. So he had a tough end to the year, sort of mirroring Collingwood's form really, but it was an exceptional performance, particularly that third quarter with the burst we had.
You talk about adding names, Marcus. I'd go as far as to say pretty much everyone bar maybe one or two players on the night could say that their pressure and intensity lifted, which starts with the finals, atmosphere, the finals preparation, and then I just feel like as the game wore on, more and more blokes, it's not, we get it from Shooter every week, we get it from McQuarrie every time he's out there, we get it from Ned Long and Nick to a certain extent because they're in and around the ball. But when blokes like Pat Lipinski are sticking tackles, Harry Perryman, Steel Sidebottom,
Houston, that play might have been the De Goey goal potentially, but it was two, and Lipinski was part of that tackle chain.
Sequence.
But Houston laid 2 tackles in that sequence as well. I think he may have got the ball and got the hands back, and then that's when Long, handball forward De Goey.
Awesome.
And De Goey, De Goey's pressure's in there as well. Like it's everyone is involved, and that's the thing when everyone's contributing their little bits. It elevates every other guy so much more, and it all starts with that hunt and that pressure. And if it's great when Shooter's doing it every week, but if it's just him, it's useless. So when you get all these other guys who aren't necessarily known for it, and Lipinski's one where we've probably talked about at times where he could have went a bit harder.
He put his head over the ball in this game.
Yeah. And I know obviously finals it elevates because it's all on the line. Yeah. And that's probably where they've been. I feel like a few of them have been in that last sort of 8 weeks of the season, like in that stage of I don't want to get hurt.
Don't get injured.
I know we know what's coming. Whereas now we don't have that. So all the inhibitions are gone and everyone's just going as hard as they can. And like I said, when this team is on, we are as good as anyone in this competition.
And the way we want to play, much as it made about our offensive style and how it exposes us the other way. But I even remember saying to Nico at that Lipinski tackle, saying that's the sort of stuff that could be the difference in this game, because that's not just an easy handball out over the top that gets them out of trouble in our forward 50. It's not. That was a part of it. One of the 4 or 5 goals that we were kicking in quick succession. So when little things like that are being happened by every single bloke that's stepping onto the field, overall, that's what I feel makes the biggest difference. And it's infectious because, as Lukey just nailed there, it starts off through the finals, like atmosphere, through the preparation, and then over the course of the game, it builds and builds and builds. And then when you've got blokes like Ned Long and Nick Dacos getting involved, and they're obviously at the higher end of what we're talking about, that's when our game plan can just look amazing. So when little things like that, and it just stops Adelaide from getting over the back and getting another one that just keeps the scoreboard at 3 goals midway through that third quarter instead of us blowing it out to 6 goals like we did. I just think, it's really important. It's going to be so important that when we come into this prelim in a fortnight's time, which I'm sure we'll get to at a later date, but it's going to be so important that we start with that intensity from the very start.
And just to tie it off with regard to the midfield and how that showed up in the game, we still lost the clearances, but you wouldn't know because we also won the turnovers 78-64. And I'm convinced a huge component of that is embedded in the pressure and the intensity and the want to just keep showing up at the contest with more Collingwood jerseys than Adelaide jerseys. And just our contest was first class when the Crows came. So, yeah, look, I don't know if there's any other names per se, Nico, but the midfield system seemed to click, the defensive system seemed to click, and we went on to kick a winning score.
But that factor you mentioned before about losing clearances, it had been the way we played our footy for the first 3 months of the year. We always rely on our ability to win the ball in our defensive half and create transition and scores from our back 50. And that was on show again on Thursday night, and Adelaide couldn't contain it, which I have to admit it shocked me a little bit, their inability to create that pressure while we're transferring the footy from defence to attack.
Yeah, I reckon, Nico. But I think it's kind of pretty clear now, sitting in retrospect, why that was the case. We spoke about it on this podcast about Adelaide's lack of finals experience. There was no doubt that was an impactful factor on Thursday night. But then I think when you start the game with Darcy Moore marking the ball like he was and essentially stopping their forward entries, then you add our finals like pressure that just lifted throughout the game, which is stopping the way they want to move the ball when it's in and tight. And then you combine that all together, I think you just get this really big mixed bag of just Adelaide no goodness, which they would not have wanted. There's probably so many better terms to use. But seriously, it's like a step-by-step thing. It starts with the pressure, Darcy Moore taking marks, us, again, lifting that pressure throughout the game. And, yeah, we're all over them.
You boys were obviously there, so you can probably speak on it a little more. But despite it being, obviously, it's an Adelaide Oval, their home final, they would expect a predominantly Adelaide crowd, which it was, but when we were on, it sounded...
we were loud.
It sounded bloody loud with Collingwood in there, and even across the cameras and the footage they showed, it looked like there was a lot of Collingwood fans in there. So they were probably almost shell-shocked at how loud it was for Collingwood. Obviously, teams expect that, but being a final, it just sounded like it was almost 50-50 out there.
There's a few patches on the west side, I think, of the ground, where that pocket to the right of the TV. Yeah, it was exceptional, and they brought the noise from start to finish. Brought the Collingwood chant. Yes, it got booed out sometimes, but I reckon that was getting quieter and quieter as the game went on. They were starting to struggle. We had Adelaide supporters in our row leaving 10 minutes into the final term. They had enough. So just goes to show where they're at. And
if they end up getting into a granny, they shouldn't get tickets if they've left early, Nico.
All right, I'll let them know. I'm sure they're listening. Two more players I want to quickly highlight. The first is last quarter Pendlebury, who again was superb as a quarterback. In the last term alone, 8 disposals at 100% efficiency. I mean, what more can be said? It is such an underrated part to our system, and a big reason why we were able to keep this Adelaide Crows team goalless in the final term, which I pointed out to Jack at three-quarter time. If we can keep them goalless for 10 minutes, then we're on. If we can keep them goalless for 15, then we've got the game won and done, and that's pretty much how it went out. Crows fired a couple of shots. They made an absolute meal of one running towards goal with Riley Thilthorpe.
Thank you so much, Riley.
Oh, yeah. So that was very...
Almost brain fart of the season, I reckon. That running to there's no one between you and the goal. Like,
did you see the shot?
What are you thinking?
Did you see the shot of, it was just like no context photo, but it was just the shot of him running into goal from behind the goals angle, and it was just like, how has he not kicked a goal?
Almost changes the game.
Is he seeing like an invisible Collingwood player in front of him?
I just said at the time, I said if a Collingwood player did that, my head would have been through.
Oh
the
my
bloody
God!
roof. I would have lost.
They would have been back within like 2 goals. Oh my God! I was just like, I can't believe what I'm seeing right now. But thank you dearly. So
yeah. So, but Pendle's impact, I thought, was brilliant once again. Still had north of 20 disposals. Again, we talk about finals experience and the like. He's a leader in that regard, and I thought he stood up when it was required once again, gents.
Yeah, and it was the fact that he was able to play almost Jeremy Howe's role in that last term, just a cool head behind the ball. And the other point that needs to be made is that our management of possession was so good in that final term. I reckon we killed about 5 or 6 minutes just by knowing what gear to be in at the right time. And Pendle seemed to be that guy. Yes, he was getting cheap kicks in easy positions in that final term. He had a few kick outs, but I just feel like with him behind the ball, maybe a Josh Dacos, maybe a Darcy Moore, this is where that experience piece, it just comes into its own. And we denied the ball of the Crows in the fourth quarter. Which
Were you
meant
worried
they just
at all that
couldn't
we were
get
doing it too early, though? Were you
Hey.
worried that we were doing it too early in the quarter? Because it seemed like that was the mindset from the start of the final too.
Look, if you looked at the time on the clock, I mean, the Crows could have chased it down,
Yeah.
so no question. But once again, coming back to the psychological edge we had based on having so many more guys who had played finals, like I think maybe all but two Crows players, or two or three, had actually played a final before coming into this game, Nico. So I think that was the unique factor that gave me a bit more confidence than normal. But Pendle's absolutely huge, and I'm praying that Jeremy Howe will come back into this side. But I think Scotty P behind the ball late in the final is not a bad idea.
It felt like, I just want to touch on what you just said. It felt like it did feel a little early, but it kind of felt like we weren't. It was just funny. It didn't feel to me like we had completely stopped and we're not attacking anymore. But it felt like we knew, all right, killing a minute or two here is going to make
Exactly.
a difference. But then I think Maynard got it and he just ran and pumped it inside
Straight
50.
to Millerer.
And I know it didn't work out, but like the mindset wasn't completely like we're kicking backwards. Where you know, and Adelaide feeling like, oh, we can get on top of them if we really put the pressure on. It felt like we had control of things and we're just waiting for Adelaide to come to us. And then when they did, all right, let's start attacking again and put the pressure back on them. So a bit of mindset, mind games with them, but it never felt like we were just holding on for dear life like it has in the past.
Yeah. Last one I wanted to touch on was Big Meso, who I know had a lot spoken about him coming into this side. It was always a big call with Fly dropping Dan McStay to bring Mason into the team. In hindsight, the correct call you would feel from Collingwood supporters all around. No, he didn't kick a goal. No, he didn't take any massive clunks. But what he did do was something we haven't seen from our tall forwards for a while, and that's bring the ball to ground and get our smalls into action. That's why Jamie Elliott and Steele Sidebottom was so influential, particularly in that third quarter as well. I did feel that Meso had the most impact. And again, we go back to experience. I keep repeating myself, and he's had some big finals, the big Texan, but very nice to see that he was able to have some type of influence on the match.
Yeah, well, there were two Texans playing on the night, and the real Texan got the chocolates. So
The other one's son was wearing Dacos's Guernsey when he was getting
one of
carried
the
on.
more unbelievable scenes on a football field, I would have thought. You've just lost a final in your 300th, and your little boy is wearing the jumper of the opposition's best player.
The
How
shot
would
of
you
it,
feel?
the shot of it is great. The photos.
Brilliant. Yeah, and I know that Nick went and gifted a jumper to Tex's young man, just reminding him of which jumper he should continue wearing throughout this finals campaign. But yeah, look, it's just a funny game, football, sometimes the way these things play out, Nico. And full credit to Tex. I thought he was the only forward from the Adelaide
One of
side
the
that
best,
actually gave it to us and was there early. But once again, we're just able to match him time and time again.
But on Mason, Nico, as well, I thought, like you mentioned a little bit there about the other blokes that he freed up in this side. I felt like we saw somewhat of a more freer Darcy Cameron as well. You know, we've been relying on him so heavily to be pretty much anywhere and everywhere on the ground for the last 8 weeks. And the fact that he was freed up a little bit in the sense somewhat that we predicted coming into this game, if Mason was to play, that he was going to be able to spend a little more time in one half of the ground. And obviously DC was able to sneak forward and get on the end of a goal. How about that goal, by the way? Just the big barrel from Shooter.
Yeah.
Everyone going, what is that? To the ruckman running at full pelt and
I said
was
he's
good
made the
enough
wrong
to finish
decision
it.
For a small
So-
forward to time that, like that is difficult for any type of AFL player, but for an athlete of his size and stature to chase the ball down, and he flushed it.
Yeah.
Absolutely flushed it. So there was a few chaos balls into our forward 50. I thought none better than that one, Jacko.
And a big moment in the game as well. It coming in that second
Half-time,
quarter where we're still not quite grabbing all of our opportunities. But more to the point on Mason, Nico, it was just so pleasing to see us have another outlet. And I felt like it shored us up structure-wise. And when he was given his opportunities, yes, you know, people could make the argument he didn't take a million big clunks or he didn't quite get on the scoreboard.
Gave
but
away a 50.
Yes, which was, we were almost pulling our hair out, Nico and I, at the game. We couldn't believe that. But
was
what he was,
stiff.
No.
Very
dumbest 50 of all time.
No, but how many players hold the ball up not knowing they can't hear whose free kick it was? You don't want to pass it to the wrong guy.
Nah,
I
Lukey.
love it.
I reckon
I love it.
90% of the season, that player gets away with that. And I reckon he just didn't know who, like, if he passed it to the wrong player, then it's 50. All right, well, tell me who it is. It was that loud there.
I love Mason. But there was no way anyone in the stadium didn't know, despite it being a bit of a dubious free kick at the time anyway, Nico. Despite it, being that, there was no way in the stadium, no one Everyone except for Mason.
What I do?
Didn't know that was a free kick straight to Riley Thrilthorpe. And at that point in the game, oh my God, gee, it was just like, what are we
Did they
doing?
capitalise on that?
Yeah. I believe it was that he ended up kicking the goal, Thrilthorpe, directly from it. So, yeah, it was frustrating. But yeah, as I said before, just so nice to have Mason. If you go back and watch that third quarter barrage, I would dare say there's probably about 3 or 4 times where the ball's kicked into Mason and he's able to bring it to ground or just make a contest where he otherwise wouldn't have. And it's just amazing that even in the last quarter, you know, how nice is it to have something to kick to when we need to just take time off the clock, when we need, it doesn't need to be a mark, but it could also just be, you know, just getting the ball out of bounds and having a throw and having time to reset and regather our thoughts. So massive tick for Mason. It's what we've been crying out for over the last 6 to 8 weeks. And yeah, mate, finals experience, it's worth its weight in gold, and Mason's a bloody big bit of weight. So yeah, looking forward to what he can do in a prelim again, hopefully.
100% he is. I want to touch on the prelim teams, potential teams next week, because I think we've got to get through a big training session or training week at the AIA Centre before we delve into what that looks like. But yeah, Jeremy Howe looks promising. There's a lot about Bobby Hill, which I'm sure we'll get to next week as well, but we'll wait and see. I want to keep that for next week until we know a little bit more. I want to see if there's anything major from this game that we've missed before we move on to our votes.
I was just talking before we started the pod, me and Lukey, about the marks game and just controlling uncontested marks throughout the field. I just feel like that's been lacking, and just our ability to use our foot skills to our advantage, but then know when to link up with forward handball chains as well. Like I can't even remember too many games in recent rounds where we've won the possession count. Like I just felt we've been dominated by other teams with perhaps younger midfields and that sort of thing. But to just play the perfect game of footy, and just so many players playing their role to perfection. Braden Maynard with these huge tackles, including in the last 10 seconds of the game with that spear tackle who laid out Neil Bullen, I think it was huge. Darcy Moore, we've spoken about his efforts. Jordan De Goey with burst at the stoppage was huge. Jamie Elliott isolating and being dangerous as we know he can. Bo McCreary getting out in space. Dake's mint foot skills as we expect. It's just, there's so many players who are just like, you played your role perfectly, and that's our system coming into fruition. So really excited.
It was the video of Neil Bullen getting laid out by Maynard in 2023 for Melbourne, and then and then combined with this one, that was it was gold. So, and I think there was a shot of I can't remember what the incident was, but Maynard on the bench just ready to pounce, and then he gets his opportunity there at the end. But absolutely nailed it. It's just it's a team sport, and we have some great individual players out there, Nick Dacos, Pendles, to go. But we are a genuine team when most guys are firing. We are as good as anyone. So just got to get these guys up and about, and with a couple of handy inclusions potentially for the icing on a premiership cake potentially, Nico.
We've got to add to that behind us, I think, that flag. So hopefully.
Nothing more from me to add, Nico, either, mate. I think just the boys have summed it up brilliantly there. Lukey?
I was just going to, who would you rather play?
Ooh, great question.
Gold Coast, crowd factor.
Yeah, it'd be...
Yeah, I think
similar to the Giants in 23.
Even with Brisbane having a few injuries, they're still a very scary proposition, and we saw how easily they towed us up at the G just under a month ago. So I have great caution in that. At the same time, I think Gold Coast would be a nice little opponent. I think they're getting a good side of the draw, having to go back to Queensland and not travelling for this week's game. But bring anyone on. I don't care. We'll win. It's fine. Go on.
Interstate teams, I mean, take your pick with the home crowd advantage, but I think I would be very worried this week if I was Brisbane, is all I'll say. Because I think Gold Coast, I'm not sure who's going to win that game, but gee whiz, they will have their heads up after their first finals win. And with Lachie Neale coming out, I mean, that is just enormous in my opinion. I'm not sure they can win the flag without him, quite frankly.
But us winning not only got us into a home prelim, but it did put us on the right side of the draw as well. Yeah. We lose and we're on the other side. It's looking a lot tougher going forward. So whether it's Brisbane or Gold Coast, we've got a home final against an interstate side. And if it does end up being Brisbane, they've lost arguably two of their most important. So
Hipwood out too.
Yes, out for the season as well. So it's good.
I can't see them. I can't see them beating Gold Coast, to be honest. They are scary, Gold Coast, and I know they let Freo get back and pretty much nearly win that game, but they had control of that for a lot of it as well. So they would have been unlucky to lose.
Yeah, give me a crowd ratio like we had in GWS or, against
It'd be even
GWS.
more.
It probably would be, wouldn't it?
Be 99-1, except instead of 99-10.
Hey, that suits me more.
That was
than
a crazy night. I remember I kept thinking that there was Giants fans in the MCC, but they were just the officials because they also wear orange. That's how sparse it was. So love another repeat of that.
All right, votes please from Thursday night. Very tough to pick, I'm sure.
So tough, Nico. One vote I'm going to Billy Elliott for his efforts throughout the 4 quarters, 2 to Nick and 3 to Darcy Moore. Lukey.
Yeah, I'll give 1 to Billy Elliott, 2 to Nick. I think he, like, not the highest disposal count, but he did so much with those disposals. The top disposals ended up 26, so that'll be my 3 votes. Jordan De Goey, we're getting the best of him at the moment, and hopefully another couple more performances like that from him.
Yeah,
Jacko.
for sure. Just to reiterate the boys' points from before as well, Nico, it's such a hard week to pick votes because not everyone stands out on the stats week when you can have a team performance like this. And look at the boys, at the individuals. Nick Dacos had one of his most influential games to date this season, and you look at his stats, and he's only had the 24 and 1. And I say only had the 24 and 1 after a game like that. It's just unbelievable, and hopefully it can continue on for at least 2 more games. I'll give my 1 to Darcy Moore. Set the tone early, continued it throughout the game. Or when I say set the tone early, after his blunder, set the tone early, and was a real captain's-like performance. So happy to see it. Been crying out for so long. So thank you, Darce. 2 to Nick and 3 to Jamie. Just as Nico touched on before, the importance of not only how many goals he's kicked, how he kicked on the night, but when they came about. Just unbelievable. And I think Collingwood supporters just starting to question whether or not after the Freo game and Gold Coast game, even though he did kick a clutch goal late, is he still the man? Is he still Jamie Elliott, who we can rely on tried and true when the game is on the line? And I think Jamie just reminded us and the rest of the competition that he is still very much that guy, Nico.
All words I agree with. It's why I put him as my pie that caught my eye, yet he can't feature in my votes, and that's just as stiff as it is, unfortunately. I think Nick has to get 1 at least. I know he only had 24 touches, but it was a very clever, impressive, intellectual 24 disposal game I felt from Nick. He was really impressive. Jordan De Goey has to get 2 as well for me. You got to sneak him in because he's a born finals player, and he did so once again, and Darcy Moore gets a 3. He also got the perfect 10 for the Gary Ayres Award with the coaches. All Collingwood players got votes from the coaches on the weekend. So Moore 10, De Goey 7, Dakes 5, Quainer 4, Sidebottom 3, and Elliott got 1. So nice to see the recognition there. All right, let's get the cans on. This is SpeakPie. Geez, there are a lot to get through, so it's a bit of a rapid fire, but thank you for everybody that did send them in throughout the last few days. It has been a mammoth amount that we have gotten.
And before we do get to SpeakPie, Nico, from our lovely Pies Nation faithful who listen in every week, weren't we inundated by many of the Pies Nation faithful on Thursday night, stopping Nico and I to say thank you for the work that we're doing.
Who's that calling, you reckon?
The stuff on the podcast. So to anyone that was able to give us a bail up on Thursday night, a couple of people stopped us for photos, which is a nice little ego boost for Nico and I, Marcus. But all in all, seriously, just want to say thank you so much to everyone and anyone that had something nice to say to both of us. I know we were both blown away by it.
Yes.
Hang on. How many are we talking here?
Oh, hundreds. No. I mean, everyone was at the Strathmore pre and post game, so it was just lovely to see all the fans. Good hundreds, I reckon, at the actual pub that night.
Yeah, I felt like Mick Jagger afterwards, man. I was beating away.
So you got like 4.
No, like people come up to us?
Yeah.
No, like way more than 4. I'm not even like putting a mayo on that.
5.
Yeah, we're really pumping ourselves.
Come on.
I don't know. I didn't take count.
But we made it was that much. I've felt that we both made note of it and said this is amazing and made us honestly, because we come here every week and we talk shit about the Pies in front of a few microphones and cameras, and you sort of put it out there, I guess. I know Nico does a lot of work behind the scenes, but I suppose, and Lukey with the socials, but for me personally, you sort of rock up, speak a bit of shit about footy, and then you don't realise that people actually listen to it and enjoy. All 4 of us do. So thank you again to anyone who said thanks.
20.
Yeah, all right. More
Yeah,
or
we'll
less.
go.
More or less. Thank you. No, you're right. It's a surreal experience. It's one of the reasons I love doing the pod. So thank you, everyone that did send them in. All right, let's get underway. There's a lot to get through here, so let's fire. And we start with a quick 9-second one from Damo. So thank you.
Give me more, give me more, give me more, give me more, Darcy Moore, go Pies!
More or less, simple as that. David's next. Thank you, David.
Okay, Pies Nation, it's Dave here. I have just walked out of the Adelaide Oval, the ground that should become our new home ground. And I've got to say that was just an incredible four-quarter effort. I did call it after the Adelaide game where we only lost by 3 points. I said if we play that way, we win more finals than we lose. We played that way, but we actually played it even better. Got the forward line going better. Geordie, you monster. Billy Frampton, Darcy Moore, best game in years. That's it. Go Pies. On to the prelim. And as our mates keep saying, 17, here we come.
How good is the crowd in the background there as he's walking out? That is such a cool experience. Rob's next. So thank you, Rob.
We own Adelaide Oval. Do not write us off. Do not write us off. That's the big message here. Mason Cox did a job. Billy Frampton did a job. Nick Dacos, how good is that man? How good? Oh, he doesn't tackle. He doesn't get hard balls all night. All night he did it. And fucking Darcy Moore, skipper, bringing it back. How bloody good. Get off them, Pies.
We didn't even talk about Sir William.
Oh, Billy.
Yeah.
The
I thought
badge
Jack
man.
would have been ready to go.
Oh, Billy was unbelievable. Just, again, alongside his mates down there in the back line, any chance he got, he half the contest at the very least. Few intercept marks as well to go with his handiwork. And, yeah, Sir William just doing his job.
Absolutely.
No badge.
No, the badge was on.
The badge was on.
The badge was on. Good.
Had to be in Adelaide.
Backed him in.
They hate him. We had a long list of blokes that were getting booed, and you would, poor old Billy was copying it
Played
as much
4 games there.
as much
Didn't
as
get a looking.
everyone else was. But yeah, anyway, happy for Bill.
Steve's next. Thank you, Steve.
Hey, Pies Nation boys, how fantastic was that? Got to Melbourne this morning at 4 a.m. from Europe. Been over there for 3 weeks. Had to listen to half the Crows game in Rome. Missed the first half. I was on a plane to Malta. Had to watch the Melbourne game through Spotty Connection. But, man, it was great to see that game tonight. That was fantastic. That's the Pies of old. And how good was it to stick it up those fucking booing Crows inbred hick supporters' asses. Go the Pies.
So I'll leave that to Steve.
They say what we can't.
Angelique's next. Thank you.
I'm at the airport in Athens, Greece, about to depart for Melbourne. You fucking beauties. On your Pies. Can't wait to get back. Kolo and Vraki, side by side. Doesn't matter the language. We're at in prelim. See you, boys. See you, Helen. See you, Colin. See you, Chris. See you, James. Can't wait. See you later.
There you go. That's very impressive.
Was that meant to be our names? But
No. Is that she's with Colin?
Yeah, absolutely. Marcus is in Denver. So thank you, Marcus, for sending this one in. Very international.
Fucking up the Pies. I said it last week. We had them right where we wanted them. That was just boys versus men sort of stuff. Out-muscled, outsmarted. Hear me out here. Fly might be a bloody mastermind. He said, what's our best avenue to a prelim? We've got the Crows' number here, 5 goals up in the first quarter. Let's just throw this one, fellas. Book a little qualifying final in Adelaide. Jump straight through. Home prelim, if you don't mind. What a fucking wizard. Darcy Moore, absolute lights out, mate. Up the Pies. Flag Pies 2025. Let's go.
Geez, I'd love to, if I had the time, I'd go back and listen to everything about Darcy Moore that was said 2 weeks ago and everything that was said about Darcy Moore now. It is so stark, that is for sure. Wilbur's next. Thank you, Wilbur.
Contrast.
Oh, my boys at Pie Nation. I got to say,
This was the same we saw before.
perfect game of football. from both sides. Pressure was elite, but experience counts. And they called us old, they called us slow. I don't like bringing that up because, that was Geelong mantra back in 2022. But, that was the difference tonight, that we was composed. We understood the moments. They didn't. They struggled. They kicked it along. They struggled hardcore. God, I'm happy. I'm very happy for the side. Still a lot of work to be done, boys. But, happy lad right here. Wilbur out.
Thank you, Wilbur. Dean's next. Thank you, Dean.
Dino from Wangaratta here. Wasn't it great to go over there and beat those boo crows?
Boo crows.
Those crow supporters booing everything we did and actually friggin' beat them. We beat them quite easily in the end, and they just booed everything. I've said it from day one. Adelaide supporters are the worst booers in the whole competition. Anyone want to take me up on that? Go free, but yep. The Boo Crows. Go Pies, we got this.
The Eagles in their prime
I was going to
are
say
probably the
it's
ones
the
as well.
Eagles or
Yeah.
the Crows.
Yeah, when I saw them in Perth, they were... Anyway. Bodie is next. Thank you, Bodie, for sending this one in.
G'day, boys. Bodie here. Tell you what, it's been a shit week, I had to work all week. Been crook all week. Right now I've got gastro sitting on the toilet as I speak. But, what, it doesn't fucking matter because the Pies are in a fucking prelim. Let's fucking go. Oh, so proud of the boys. Tell you what, it's going to be a long 2 weeks listening to the media pump up our tyres, saying how we're now premiership favourites again after one game, after a month of football of the media and all the opposition players, fans and that bashing on us, saying that we're going to do nothing in September. But you know what? They can shove it because we're in a fucking prelim. Let's go, boys. Love the pod.
Well, hopefully Bodie's okay and he's looking after himself. That is a tough week, you can say that for sure.
It's an interesting point he brings up, though, Nico, about the
Which
media.
part?
the sitting on the toilet, sitting on the throne was interesting, but we appreciate it nonetheless. About the Pies being premiership favourites now in the eyes of the media, I think that performance by Geelong the next night actually has helped us a little bit because, yes, we're Collingwood, yes, we'll be going into a prelim final at the MCG, which will be our home game, of course, but it's about the way they played against Brisbane and how clinical they were just takes the pressure off us a little bit. And so glad, as we've already mentioned, that we've fallen on the other side of the draw now to them, that if we do qualify for the grand final, you almost feel like if they do as well, we'd come in as underdogs, which I think suits us.
Well, I think as well, even if they get knocked off in the prelim, whoever's knocking them off almost goes in as favourites still
100%.
against us because, they've knocked the cats off. The best.
Hawks, Adelaide, Geelong, one of those three, 100%. I do agree.
And then we're, on the soft side. So, we've had an easy run. We've got through there. We'll get belted. So, we're happy to be there, though.
Yes, we are. There's heaps here. Just a few more to finish, though. So thank you, everyone that did send them in. Lockie is the next one on the next one coming up, so thank you.
Some people believe that the greatest defence in history was the Battle of Stalingrad. Some people think that it was the Battle of Thermopylae, on which the movie 300 is based. And some people believe it's the Great Wall of China. However, I believe the greatest defence in history consists of Isaac Quaynor, William Frampton, Bruzzy Maynard, and captain of the Collingwood Football Club, Darcy Moore. The rest of the competition better watch out, because when these guys are at the top of their game, there is nobody that can beat us. All of our goals surge in that third quarter and the end of the second quarter came as a result of stoppages that they forced. We were a terrific team tonight. Nick Dacos is an absolute wizard with the ball. Dugowie has cemented his place back in this roster. My uncle and my great aunt, that's Dave, who was a regular on this, and Sil, she's an absolute gem, made the trip over to Adelaide. We are monster fans of the game. Go Pies!
Nicely summed up there, Lockie. Thank you. This one's Jack, not Dugan. Thank you.
Hey boys, Jack not Dugan here. I'm currently laying in bed with my beautiful girlfriend. Say hello, girlfriend.
Hello.
She's a little shy. We're sitting here, we're snuggled up, we're watching. What are we watching? What are we watching? We're watching YouTube. She's still shy. Just got home from the parents after watching that absolutely brilliant game. I think I can still hear the Adelaide Crows fans booing. Can you?
Yes.
Yes.
You know, if I could bottle up their tears and save it, I would. I'd start selling them because I reckon that'd be the most beautiful bottle of water you'd ever taste. Oh, they're a bunch of whingers. Darcy Moore, I've been critical of him all year, but he lifted, he did the job, and that's all we ask. As a fan base, that's all we ask. I'm happy for the boys. I'm happy we get the week off for Howie. What else? What do we think, babe? What do you reckon? Tell us what do you think of the game? Up the fucking pie. Up the fucking pie. All right. Thanks, lads. Cheers.
Oh, man. Some of the characters we get here.
That was
unmatched. Unmatched.
That was elite.
Unmatched. That is so good. All right. We've got 3 more to finish here. Jesus. Really
How are they going to top that?
All right. So Yossi's next. I hope I've said that right, but thank you.
Hi, Pies Nation. Just got back from the best impromptu road trip I've ever taken with my 3 sons to see the Pies absolutely pummel the Crows. Love the way the Pie Army there at the ground gave it back to the Crows supporters. Love the way the boys gave it back to the Crows. What a team. What a coach. What a premiership this will be.
That's it. But thank you. Yeah, that's nice. You know, those little road trips, you make your memories with your family. That's what it's all about. 2 more to finish, and there are regulars. We've got a man that's been missing for 5 weeks, but he's back. Colin.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hi, Pies Nation boys. Colin here. I've really missed watching my Pies, but what a game on Thursday night. A total team effort, led by our Rock of Gibraltar, Darcy Moore. What a time to have his best game of the year. IQ, he really stuck it up to the rabid Crows supporters. The more they booed, the better he got. Jamie Elliott, what a star, and the effervescent and ageless Steel Sidebottom. He is so focused. He and Pendles really want another premiership medal around their necks. Now we've just got to watch the other sides go hammer and tong at each other. Bring on the prelim. Go Pies!
Oh, good to have you back, Colin.
Colin's back. The Pies are back, Nico.
Is it a coincidence?
I don't think so. There's something in that. So,
True.
Colin, if you're listening, no doubt you are, mate. Jump back on board next week because we're going to need you.
Absolutely.
Just like Bobby Hill.
Hopefully. All right, we're going to finish with
Colin and Bobby Hill hand in hand.
Personal reasons. Yeah.
Oh wow! Don't know what. Anyway, we're not going there. Evan is who we're going to finish with, as we always do. Always very inspiring, and he'll be up and about after this win.
Boys, I don't think 90 seconds is long enough for me to express the whirlwind of emotions I'm feeling right now. I mean, there's that unbelievable high and joy and pride in this team, but I think the one I feel the most is vindication. Because if you remember after that Hawthorn game where it felt like the brown and gold took a massive dump on our premiership hopes, it felt hopeless, didn't it? And even going into this game, no one really gave us a chance. And I don't blame him because we played some pretty crap footy for the last couple of months. But none of that matters now. None of it does, because we're 2 wins away from a premiership. And I'm proud to say that I'm one of the people who never lost faith
True.
Never let go of the rope. And I just feel vindicated. It's like this warm, fuzzy feeling that just won't go away, and I don't ever want it to go away. But yeah, nights like this are why we watch footy. You know, after a low, the lows that we felt the last 2 months make highs like this more worth it. Come on. Let's get that flag. Go Pies.
Very touching. Evan, you could tell you could really feel that.
It's a great point, Nico, because, you know, he would have been in the minority, I feel like, Irvin, you know, going into that qualifying final over against the Crows to have a bit of optimism and about us and about the Pies, and he's been right there with us, you know, the whole way through the last 3 or 4 weeks, being every time we finish an episode, Nico puts him on at the end for a reason. It's to show a bit of positivity and show that it's not all doom and gloom. And yeah, happy for everyone, but none happier than what we are for Evan, who was, as we all know, he's been showing the faith for a long, long time.
Absolutely. So thank you for everyone that sent them in. We really do appreciate everyone that does. Sorry we can't get through them all. We'd love to. We just don't have the time on our side. Unfortunately, we're going to get to our guest the crowd in a moment. But Rob's currently producing our show, probably with envy because he supports a team that isn't usually around at this time. But at the same time, he was fortunate enough to send me just a comment that he found on socials. I'm not sure I'm going to go with it, but I'll think about it. Anyway, it was Zach. He said that if Tex killed somebody, the Crows fan base would show up to the funeral to boo the coffin. That's how much
Why did you think of not going with that?
I don't know, but it's funny, isn't it?
It's fantastic.
That's very impressive.
Oh, thank you, Rob.
No.
Brilliant. Absolutely sensational.
That is a good producer. That is for sure. All right. Got to move on from that now. Guess margin?
Yes, we got one.
Yes, one that picked the 24-point margin.
Yes,
That's good.
Yes, I have them here. April Tarollo, so 24 points.
Very good.
Only one off Instagram and Twitter that got the margin, so shout out to April.
There we go. And lots that come through, of course, during finals.
You know, with that Elliott goal, what was it? There was only 30 seconds. Was it more than that? Or
just over 30 seconds, yeah.
So the difference between getting it and not getting it.
Still so nice to have that moment at the end as well, Nico, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The game was over and we'd won. Just to have that right at the end, just to really celebrate it and then celebrate on the final siren, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, now we got our guest, the crowd call. Great to have these involved during the finals campaign for sure. Who do we have this week that we're about to chat to, Lukey?
So we got Kevin or Kev's Magpies. So I believe he has a Collingwood content YouTube setup going as well. So another
one
colleague.
I'm just having a look now. Yep. So over 600 subs on YouTube. He's been going around for a few years. Heads to training as well. So we'll be keen to have a very quick chat with Kev, who was our guest at the crowd. Do you remember how much exactly?
There's a few hundred off. So because of the previous Adelaide game, everyone went 54,000 because that was what we got that week, and ended up 52 something. So there was not many who were close. He was only a few hundred off, but most people were in the 54 plus thousands. So
absolutely. All right, let's get Kev on the line.
Oh?
Is this Kev?
Yes, it is. How are you?
Yes, good. It's Nicholas from Pies Nation here. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. How are you?
Well, can't be much better, to be honest, considering what took place on Thursday night. I'm sure everybody is over the moon. But well done. You are our Guess the Crowd competition winner for this week's episode, mate. I'm sure you've had a few goes at it over the journey, but what made you go with the number you did that got you closer to the pin this week?
I thought it would be a sellout, considering that there's more Collingwood fans, and definitely there's like a fair bit of Adelaide supporters that would definitely rock up. Like as you know, we always rock up regardless on where we travel. So yeah, it was just an estimate guess that I didn't think it was going to pay off, to be honest.
Oh, well, that's why you just give it a go, and sometimes this is what happens. Now, Kev, we'd love to get your summary on how you saw this game on Thursday. An incredible win, another memorable interstate triumph. Give us your quick little summary of how you saw the Pies win on Thursday.
I thought we were in control for most of the game. It definitely felt like when we played our attacking Brenner footy, yeah, it was definitely good to watch, and Adelaide just and it was good to see Darcy Moore doing what Darcy Moore does and taking, I think, 9 intercept marks. Yeah, it's very crazy. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to who we play, either Brisbane or Gold Coast. And, yeah, prelim final coming up.
What does that week off look like for you, Kev? Thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us. It's just Jack here, mate. But obviously, we feel like we're back as a supporter base. We feel like the Pies are back to playing their best footy, going over and getting the job done against the Crows. But who do you want to play in the prelim? Are you worried about anything for that upcoming game? And, of course, it's in a fortnight, so we've got a long time to stew over it until then. But what are your initial thoughts on that upcoming game?
Look, I think we'll play Brisbane. Only because of the fact is that it would be good to get revenge on Brisbane when they beat us at the G, and we tend to play really well against them compared to the Gold Coast Suns, who they've tended to beat us the last few times over the history. So if we can just certainly scout the game and look what Brisbane do and look what Gold Coast do, yeah, definitely whoever was going to come out on top, it's definitely going to be a grueling contest for sure. But I expect us to have the week off and not take it lightly like we did in 2019. Just be physically and mentally prepared for the game where we need to be switched on regardless.
G'day, Kevin. It's Luke here. Congratulations on your guest, the crowd. Now, tell us a little bit about yourself. Are you a Victorian Collingwood supporter? Will you be going to the prelim, or are you from another state and travel for Collingwood games? And tell us a bit about your Collingwood journey being a supporter.
I'm from Victoria, so I go to MCG games home and away and Marvel home and away as well. I've actually been backing for Collingwood since I was about 5 to 6, 8 years old, and watching Collingwood throughout the late 90s, 2000s, you tend to witness a lot of bad luck when it came with finals. But I've also witnessed some great wins as well. So I'm looking forward to the prelim final, and I'll be streaming the Brisbane Gold Coast game just to see on who we play. So can't wait.
Too right, Kev. So will I. Thank you also for joining us, Marcus, here. I'm just keen to know, who do you thought from our game just gone against the Crows really brought that spirit animal to the table? I feel like Braden Maynard and Bo McCree were two guys that really showed up and played the Collingwood brand of footy that we know that comes with ferocity. Was there anyone else or either of those two guys that you really thought injected themselves into the game?
I thought we both... said this to a couple of people that I work with and a few of my friends that it doesn't matter how many disposals that Bo McCreary gets, but it's his pressure, it's his tackling. He can have 15 disposals per game and might kick a goal and might set up 4 or 5 teammate score involvement part of it. And I thought the selection of Mason Cox really helps our structure when it comes to the second ruck. It helps out Darcy Cameron, and he can definitely play, even if he doesn't mark it, just bring the ball to ground. The way that he brought the ball to ground so many times, we're able to come in and kick those goals. And I think that we've learned from the last time we played against Adelaide as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a great point about Mace. And we knew that the second ruck was an issue when we did last play the Crows in the home and away season. So it was great to see Coxie contribute in that area. Last one before we let you go, Kev, you've got your own YouTube channel. You mentioned it just before. You stream Collingwood games and you do a lot of other bits for the Pies. I know you've had it for a while. So give yourself a pump up. Where can we find you, mate?
YouTube Kev's Magpies, Twitch Kev_Magpies1. That's when I stream my games on Twitch. YouTube, I'm trying to do more play interviews, do previews, reviews, even do women's footy as well.
Yep.
I love going and scoring the girls whenever I can. And even when we're traveling interstate, I love streaming the Collingwood games on YouTube because it's good to get my reaction on every single play. And being a passionate Collingwood fan that I am, and even when I'm on Insta, like Kev's Magpies as well, that's where you see more of my content. And I got to interview a journalist too on that open training session. So Yeah, I'm really happy with that, and hopefully I can continue to grow as a Collingwood supporter and as a content creator. I've got 619 subscribers now, so if I can get to that 1,000 mark and 700 in particular, yeah, I just can't wait for it.
No, good stuff, Kev, and keep up the great work and what you're doing in the social space. We love seeing more Collingwood content creators out there. Thanks for joining us, mate, and hopefully we're seeing you celebrating a premiership with us soon.
Yes, I've got to witness in 2023 and 2010 and can't wait for this year.
Sounds good.
Kev.
Thanks, Kev.
Thanks, Kev.
That's Kev joining us as part of our Guess the Crowd. That could be you. If you guess the crowd closest to the pin, we might only have one more crack at it, hopefully two, but give it your best shot when Lukey puts out the prelim post.
Well, hopefully we're guessing the crowd for the grand final.
Well,
Okay.
we'll do what we did last time, I believe, because the crowd might be 100,024. So we'll work around that. But yes, keep an eye for Lukey's post each game day. Give it your best shot. If you are closest, that will be you joining us. Kev mentioned the AFLW. I'll quickly go through it. Not that I really want to, because North Melbourne are just too good. They are an unfair football side in the AFLW. A percentage of just under 500, and they defeated Collingwood by 45 points at Arden Street Oval. I think they've won 16 consecutive games now, the Roos. So the Pies, unfortunately, no match for them. Tani White finished with 27 disposals and 10 marks. Ruby Schleicher was also pretty influential at times as well, but unfortunately was just unable to get the job done there. So we move now to 1 and 3 on the ladder. And next up, we take on, we've got Sydney. So another tough game against a Sydney side that haven't lost either in 2025. And they've got Chloe Malloy running right at the moment, Lukey.
I was going to say we're going head-to-head with Chloe Malloy. It's not a good sign for Collingwood. We did speak about, I think we won that first game. We're like, oh, we're up. Like, good to get a win on the board and get going, because most seasons they start a bit slow, and now we're in that 1 and 3.
Look, I still think we've improved, certainly. And, we've still got the number one pick, Ash Centra, who's still kicking goals and hitting the scoreboards. That's always good. But
it's a bit of new coaching as well, so just a bit of a process probably the next couple of years. And I think the competition just settling from the incoming teams coming in, and then the drafts being all over the place. So it's just going to take a few years for it to settle and a bit more evenness to come across the competition.
100%. So Vic Park, Saturday, 1:05 p.m. if you want to get your Collingwood action during the week. That's going to do, boys. We've got a massive episode next week. It is episode 200 of the Pies Nation podcast. So if there's one that you don't want to miss, it'll be that one. Looking forward to joining you for that. Looking forward to previewing an enormous prelim final at the MCG, and there's just so much to look forward to at the Pies.
It's also your 200th.
Yes, it is. Have not missed.
Because you haven't missed Mr. Jack.
I'll tell you what, this morning it was touch and go. It was touch and go. I was going to have to get the big TV out.
If he wasn't here, they'd be in our episode tonight. So we needed him.
No,
He's
I know.
pushed through when he couldn't, and we're thankful for every episode, Nico, because we couldn't be here without you.
All right, well, thank you, but we'll save the thank yous to next week. No, it's been fun, and looking forward to number 200 next week. So what's our pre-finals bye? Not pre-finals. What's our semi-final bye looking like for you, gents?
Well, look, I've just been trying to drink in as much football as possible, because it gets to this time of year and it starts to settle on my mind that once October rolls around, it gets very, very dry. And obviously this is a big passion project for each of us, but I'll just speak for myself. So I'll be watching both games intently, Nico, and then looking at all the machinations that come out of wins and losses and injuries and all the rest of it. It's just such a tantalising year. Part of the year, to be a footy fan, and such a privilege, such a gift to be on these couches, still being able to talk absolute rubbish about the side we love. So those will be my goings-ons for fellas.
Yeah, same. It's been, I guess, I feel like an average season of football, but I reckon we got the best week of it last week with those 4 finals, and the 2 upcoming ones are looking just as good. So very excited to watch them, and obviously it affects us. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens and who we end up playing the following week in a prelim. But try and, like you said, just soak it in as much as possible, because in a few weeks it'll be all gone.
Yeah, Nico, a bit the same. Been watching a lot of footy this weekend. Not something I've done in the past either. I usually sort of try and take this week. I think last time in 2023 I just ignored it, and whoever we were going to play in the prelim, that was who we were going to play. But this week I think I'm keen. I've got a quiet weekend coming up this weekend, so going to have a really close eye on that Gold Coast Brisbane game, and hopefully a bit the same as Marcus. Try and see all the little ways we can maybe gain an advantage, and of course come in and talk about it on Monday and have absolutely zero impact on the game. So I'm looking forward to that with you boys.
Sitting there like the opposition coach, like Well, how can we, you know?
Oh, surely at 200 eps we're getting some influence. I don't know.
Well, you got 20 photographs, and that's impact as far as I'm concerned. So
very true. All right, join us for Ep 200 next week. Until then, Marcus Callahan, Luke Humphries, Jack Dugan, thank you boys for joining me in the Back Chat studio. And until next week, I've been Nicholas Sacco. You've been listening to or watching the Pies Nation podcast, where the pies are hot and the drinks are cold. Our show wouldn't be possible in 2025 without the ongoing support of the North Texas Devils. They're led by a great Collingwood man in Peter Wood. And just like the Pies have been here, the North Texas Devils have been thriving over in the US, just coming off a Central Regional Championship. And now they're looking to go all the way in the Nationals in Arizona later this year. The Devils are still looking to recruit new and established players for the season, so if any of our listeners or viewers are heading to the States over the next couple of months, keen to get their Aussie rules fixed, the North Texas Devils are the team for you. Contact details can be found in our description no matter how you consume our podcast, or you can head to ntxdevils.com to learn more. So thanks again to the Devils for sponsoring the Pies Nation podcast in 2025.